Hey everyone, welcome to another Dapr community call. It's 108. I'm Mark Dijker, your host, one of the Dapr community managers. I just returned from holiday. I stayed in the Netherlands. I live in the Netherlands. It wasn't like a staycation, but I went a bit like south to the Netherlands, and there I had like tons of rain. So I didn't have like the best holiday. If you want to share some holiday experience yourself, feel free to put that in the chat. Let's have a look at the agenda. So we're first going to start with Meshery Loves Dapr by Lee, but also a bit of his teammates as well. Then we follow up with Nelson, and he's going to talk about improved HTTP metrics filtering with path matching, one of the new Dapr 114 features. Then I'll give a quick Dapr Day update, and I'll do the community show and tell as usual. Just a bit of the house rules. If you have any questions about one of these sessions, please feel free to put them in the chat. And then once the session is over, I'll scroll through the chat and I'll ask the questions directly to the speakers. All right. So I'll now add Lee to the stage. Hello, Lee. Welcome.
Hello.
All right. I understand you have your own presentation, right? So I'll stop screen sharing, and you can share your own screen.
Very good. Well, yeah, I'm here to share. That's good. I'm also here for corny jokes. So Mark was just saying that that those are acceptable occasionally.
Definitely.
So okay. All right. Good. Well, good. Well, hey, so Meshery Loves Dapr. That's the what we're going to talk about. There's a bunch of different ways that there's love being exchanged. So this is like a PG rated thing. We need to keep it. Okay, I don't know if some of those US ratings sort of go across overseas. Anyway, point is on Meshery, I'm gonna talk about it today. I'm gonna talk about how it integrates with Dapr. I'm going to talk about, well, some of the conversations and help that we've been getting from, well, Salaboy is the handle that he goes by. But Mauricio Salentino has been spending quite a bit of time with Meshery and helping us make sure that our integration with Dapr is as good as it can be. We're going to ask for some feedback from you all today on that. So to kick things off, let's talk about what Meshery is for a moment. Meshery is a CNCF sandbox project. It is up for incubation review. So it's been around for coming on about 5 years now. It is here to solve a few problems. One of those problems is the fact that like these slides that I'm going to share in a minute, these Google slides, they are collaboratively edited. We don't really have tools in our space for collaboratively editing infrastructure. And that's in part one of the challenges that Meshery is looking to solve, is like bringing together people that design and people that operate cloud native infrastructure. So Meshery is an extensible platform. It integrates with, well, more or less essentially all of the CNCF's projects, as well as a number of AWS and GCP cloud services, those services that are represented and orchestratable through Kubernetes custom resources. So Meshery has a real affinity for custom resources and the modeling of those and the way that it integrates with these projects. Yeah, so part of so like I was saying, Meshery is an extensible platform. It's used as an internal developer platform in a number of environments. Meshery has sort of a long history. It got started around performance management. So it has built-in load generators that will help you characterize the performance of your infrastructure and help you contrast and compare different configurations you might have within your infrastructure. Great. It has a number of extension points, though, and this particular visualization that we're seeing here is one of Meshery's extensions. We'll take a look at that a little bit later. The challenge that Meshery's, one of the challenges that it's set out to solve is, well, is this beautiful landscape that Dapr is in and that Meshery is within, and that many people take a look at and are probably both quite intrigued and quite scared at the same time. The idea that Meshery is able to give people a uniform experience over helping them get their hands on Dapr quickly, be successful, hopefully, with their Dapr deployments, hopefully collaborate over how they design, how they put their apps onto Dapr. I'm not sure if that's how you guys refer to it as Dapr sidecars next to the apps, but I tend to think of Dapr in a service mesh related way. And so I think of apps being sort of on Dapr, so to speak, on Dapr's data plane, if you will. I don't know, you guys, again, I don't mean to push those terms onto Dapr, but so the things that we want to, like how Meshery loves Dapr is then, well, it's going to get explained in a few different ways, but one of those ways is that we were looking to chat with you all about is like with respect to project representatives or project maintainers. Like there's a few challenges that every CNCF project has, and one of those is like having a playground for people to test out sample apps, for people to test out their own apps. Meshery has a playground, and it's a live Kubernetes environment that people can go in and deploy, well, all of the integrations that Meshery supports. And as Meshery engages with projects like Dapr, we do our best to get that integration correct. Like I said, we got a lot of great feedback from Mauricio. And part of what we're looking to do today is to share that with you all, get some feedback, maybe get some corrections. We also want to empower representatives of the project to be able to put forth, help promote some of the sample apps that you have, but maybe more importantly, promote your, how should I say, like your reference architectures. If we go back to this Meshery.io site, there's a catalog of designs. I'll just randomly click one here. That infrastructure designs that users, maintainers, whomever puts together, and they serve different purposes. They configure different infrastructure. There are a number of these for Dapr. Whether or not they follow Dapr's recommended best practices, though, for how to configure and run Dapr is like, well, is the Meshery contributors, myself and a couple of others that are on the call, we're not the domain experts. And so this is in part what we wanted to share with you all as representatives of Dapr, is to empower you to create and curate these catalog items. So one of the forms that these catalog items take is within a catalog out here. This is one of Meshery's extensions. There's a proposition with the CNCF to have something of a CNCF hub, and so that's why we're seeing this branding. This particular extension is brandable for different organizations you might create. So I don't mean to indicate that, like, hey, this is the CNCF's tool, and well, in some respects it is, right? It's Meshery, but I don't mean to say that there is a CNCF hub per se. It's just that the demo that we're giving today is kind of done in context of what that hub might be. Part of the proposal for that hub is to have a catalog of reference architectures, a catalog of these designs that that are officiated by project maintainers and help promote like easy access to Dapr, help promote best practices and people's ability to do that, those like help manage and understand Dapr collaboratively. So let's take a look at what that looks like. Like if we have one of these designs, what do they do? What does it look like? How does Meshery more specifically integrate? Let's see if we can go through a design. Abid, if you're on the call, this is probably a good time for you to potentially share and walk through maybe this design here. So there he is. I'll stop sharing.
Yeah.
Oh, great. So Abid, Sophie is with us. He's one of the Meshery maintainers. We've been working on some visualizations to help people understand actually, I probably need to set the stage one moment more. I think I forgot to share some of the specifics about how it is that Meshery touches up against Dapr. So I mentioned that we're looking to empower project maintainers to create and curate, sort of approve these official designs or official best practices of Dapr. What I didn't necessarily highlight is, and maybe I should go full screen here, see if this helps. Some of the particulars of how Meshery is integrating. So without trying to confuse people or babble on about all of the things that Meshery does, I'll say that as Meshery models the infrastructure like Dapr, it does just that. Meshery has models or these integrations, and for each infrastructure model, there's one for Dapr. There might be multiple for a given project, but currently one for Dapr where Meshery comprehends the custom resources that Dapr has. So for those that are familiar with Dapr, component resiliency, and these all look fairly familiar, as Meshery goes to help people take advantage of these sidecar capabilities, there are various relationships, visual relationships that Meshery expresses. And so that is what Abid was just about to jump into to help demonstrate how it is that's working. So good, Abid, hopefully that helps.
Yeah, thanks. I'll share. So as Lee already said the content what I was going to share. So Meshery right now already supports most of the Dapr components that we have, and so right now I already pinned this. So this is the Dapr model. So we package components and their relationships as models. So that's the unit of packaging for us. So we have a Dapr model which contains some of the components from Dapr. So we have like resiliency, HTTP endpoints, and some of others. And we have set some time to create some of the relationships between them. Like these are not 100% right because, as Lee already said, we don't have the domain expertise here. But I think Mauricio already tried to help us with like we had some of the relationships earlier, and Mauricio helped to fine grain them. So here are some of the relationships that I was going to share. So right now here I have a pod, and in this pod I have an application container configured. So I'm calling it, and just to say, like, I'm not much into DevOps, so I might be a bit ignorant here, and so please be free if you want to correct or if I'm saying something wrong. So I have an Nginx app container here, and I have Dapr sidecar. So Dapr uses the sidecar, so we can represent them in our deployment. So I have a pod here, sorry, and I have a Dapr sidecar running, and on this sidecar, so to create a relationship with this sidecar and some of the Dapr components, so we create this visualization where you can see we have a small purple badge here, and if you click on this, we call this an inventory wallet. You could see I have a resiliency configured to this sidecar. So these can be how we configure these is like if we have a components, we usually drag it over the sidecar. So in this relationship, and as we drop it inside it would go inside the wallet of this inventory, and this component will now configure the sidecar like the way Dapr is supposed to sidecar. Like that gets put inside a relationship, and inside that relationship we specify like how the actual configuration configuration would happen for this component. So this is one of the relationship of how we were trying to do it for Dapr. And another one is like on the similar vein. So, but rather than configuring the individual sidecar containers, we have also support like directly configuring the deployment in this case with Dapr component. So you can see there's a wallet attached to this deployment, and inside this wallet you would see we have a Dapr component. I don't know which one this is, but I think this is a resiliency component that's attached to this deployment. So this is another way of visualizing the relationship. Right now, this resiliency component would configure the deployment, and whenever we create containers inside it, it would configure Dapr accordingly for those containers. And another relationship that we support is like which might be helpful in case of Dapr is because like Dapr use these labels and annotations to configure the components. So we attach some specific labels to components, so which Dapr will pick up. So this relationship we call it tag set. So right now I have configured the Dapr annotations. I don't know like if these are the correct annotation, but
Oh, do you mind zooming in a bit? I'm not sure if it's legible for folks.
oh sorry. Yeah, I have now it's better. So I have configured some of the annotations with these two components, like this is a deployment and this is a service. We represent them as triangles. These are configured like all of these representation. If you are trying to represent it in a different shape or color, you can do it and it's configurable. So I've attached a label like a Dapr enabled label here, and the same for the service. So right now what we do, we visualize these as these groups. So it automatically checks like which components have this matching labels and annotations, and these groups get created around that. So the blue ones are right now that both of these components are configured with Dapr, and the yellow ones we use for labels, but these are also like configurable if you want to use some different color or for these annotations and labels. I think that's mostly like we also support other relationships between components. Like one of those is like a parent-child relationship, which is similar to this one, like mostly that we have with namespace and other relationships where a namespace, a component gets attached to a namespace, so it gets inside it. So those are also like variable options if they might work well with Dapr, and there are a couple of other relationship visualizations supported, but we thought like these might be the best fit for Dapr. So, but still like it's open, like if you want something different with the relationships or want to change the way we do it, or maybe if you have better suggestions, even of those that are not right now support in terms of how we visualize, but we are open to suggestions on those. We could implement something which is a better fit for that.
This is great. Abid, thank you for this. I realized that when we first were to present to the Dapr community, I didn't realize it was a sort of a one-way presentation. We were thinking in terms of dialogue, and so so I'm sure that there's dialogue happening in the YouTube stream, so that's wonderful. If you don't mind, just for a moment, I think I neglected to say a couple of things just to introduce what you're showing. If you go back to the original relationship that you were showing inside of a pod, if you zoom in for us, because it's difficult to read. Just for context here, I think folks have probably figured it out, but the particular UI that we're looking at here is Meshery's UI. Like I said, Meshery is an extensible platform. This visualization that we're seeing, this is one of Meshery's extensions. This particular extension allows you to visually design your infrastructure. And to the extent that you're using Dapr, and at this point, who isn't, you'd be able to, like, hopefully, comprehend what's going on, comprehend which of your apps have enhanced, sidecar functionality or components, Dapr components next to them. So this particular blue rounded rectangle represents a pod. Inside that pod are 2 containers. You've got your Dapr component. And then this particular Dapr component has one configuration. And so, but if you were to click on that one configuration and open it up, you were saying before that this is a resiliency configuration. And so, so the conversation that we were looking to facilitate is like, hey, does this make sense to others, to the Dapr community at large? And this is one of a few different ways that Dapr gets configured, that Dapr can be visually represented. Some of those have to do with, the auto injection of Dapr sidecars and how does that get visually represented. And so that's the conversation that Abid is looking to tease out. So this is great. I'm sure there's a bunch of questions about all this.
Yeah, I'm just quickly jumping in there. There are indeed a couple of questions and comments, not that much, but I'm sure you can provide some answers maybe now. So the first question was, does Meshery have a special integration with like specific cloud providers such as AWS or GCP or Azure?
Yes, to AWS and GCP. Currently, it does. So EC2 is like the first AWS service that comes to mind that probably everyone's familiar with. But just to help answer that question and give it boundaries, is that Meshery does this through the Kubernetes operators as part of AWS's ACK, or what is it? Gosh, I forget what it stands for. AWS controllers for Kubernetes. So there's like a set of like 30-something controllers-ish for different Kubernetes services. And each of those controllers has a number of custom resources. And so Meshery programmatically digests those descriptions. So Meshery is capable of then, this mode that we're in here is your designer mode. And it is a collaborative mode. So if multiple people are in here doing, just like you'd edit a Google Doc, or you can then do a dry run to a Kubernetes cluster or to multiple clusters, or you can do an actual deployment. Once deployed, you can then click to open up the operator mode or the visualizer mode, and then see your live running infrastructure and open up a terminal to it, or do some naughty imperative things maybe.
Yeah. No, it definitely makes sense. Yeah, and another viewer, Shudansu, says it's looking very interactive, right? So that's the whole idea of your tool, right? So it's very like visual, interactive. You can, let's say, quickly sketch out what you want and create these templates that you can then deploy, right?
Yep, and export and share, and it's all YAML under the covers, so to speak. So like maybe you enjoy. Like a picture is worth 1,000 words. So sometimes YAML is the way you want to go. Sometimes it isn't. You're trying to digest what the heck's going on. And so maybe you want to use this for designing, but then have something else do the deployment. Great. But yeah, that's the.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And Suraj is also asking or mentioning, how wouldn't this require domain expertise on Dapr and other integrations? And well, I think I already know the answer, yes. And then that's why you're presenting here, to actually get feedback on what's the best way to do these visualizations and what makes sense for Dapr users. Yeah.
Yep, correct. It's a two-part. It's exactly what you just said. Specifically for like those relationships. Less specifically for Dapr's components, the subscription resiliency component. Memory fails me for the other few, but those are on a nightly basis digested from Dapr, from Dapr, github.com/Dapr/ from Dapr's, in this case, it's from Dapr's Helm repo. Mm-hmm. So Meshery just programmatically reads in the custom resource definitions, and then so the level of granularity that you'll find in terms of being able to configure these resources is directly represents all the great work that the Dapr contributors have done in terms of creating those resources. So, but that relationships bit, like, hey, does it make sense that there's a line between these two things, or that this is purple and that's not, like yeah, that's very much so what we're soliciting. More than that, it's like Dapr as a community has published any number of sample apps or has any number of docs about production best practices and things. So to the extent that, yeah, that those become curated and sort of officiated by folks in the Dapr community, wonderful. The Meshery playground that's there is also intended to help facilitate. So, and I know we're like running up right on time, and Mark's going to cut me off. The thing to maybe mention, because maybe Mark would say we don't have time for the next, is there are learning paths that Meshery has for like, it has one for, or we have one for Dapr, and trying to help people understand how to use Meshery in context of Dapr. And so, but we need feedback, or we want to let others write those, and so we'll drop a link to that somewhere so that we can.
Yes, yeah, definitely share the link, and I will include it in the description when we upload this to YouTube. But I think it's also a good idea, maybe you're already there, but definitely join the Dapr Discord, because we have dedicated channels for Kubernetes, but also tooling. So both of the channels are, I think, good candidates for you to share some more information and then ask for feedback to Dapr users, to have like a bit of a wider net to ask questions to the users. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'm still happy to give you like 2-3 minutes if you still want to show some stuff though. So
well, so Uzair was going to show a couple of other designs. I'm not sure if Uzair, will those help tease out any other concepts that we didn't cover? It might be.
I think we covered most of the relationships. Like whatever you wanted to showcase, Abid has covered it, so that covers the point.
Okay, so then it behooves us to briefly return to slides so that we can help make it compelling for Dapr maintainers, or just represent it like maintainers is maybe the easiest way to sort of say it, but just various representatives of Dapr as a project or Dapr as a community. We're soliciting this, or we're suggesting like, hey, to come, and we'll share these in the Dapr Discord, but to come take this invitation, come get signed up into what is hopefully at some point the CNCF hub, but to come get signed into this system so that you can, I'm sharing the wrong screen. I'm sorry. I thought I was sharing the whole screen. Come get signed into the system so that you can publish Dapr designs. Make sure that they're doing the right thing. Good. Here it is. Anyway, the place to go sign up is this link here. So there's tons of things to share. There's just been a ton of work going on. Like I'd said before, Mauricio Salentino has been just wonderful for helping guide us. But it's time to get a lot of this exposed, solicit feedback. With a couple of things that we didn't get to are like the fact that you can take those Meshery designs and embed them into your docs if you like to, like this, so that people can explore and understand Dapr even better, and then click to actually deploy the particular design.
Yeah, that's a nice feature. Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
So, Mark, this is great. I think your mission accomplished on.
Yeah, we'll definitely share those valuable links in the description, and will also share them in Discord myself, because we also have a show and tell section every time we have like a community call. So that's also a good option. But feel free to indeed reshare some of those additional links in the Kubernetes or tooling channels as well on Discord. Yeah.
It's like kindergarten in the US. It's you have show and tell like every other day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right. Yeah, looks like a very interesting tool. And yeah, and Salaboy and Mauricio indeed is a great help indeed. It's definitely a great team player when it comes to everything CNCF. So it's good to see that this collaboration is there. All right. Thank you very much, everyone of the Meshery team. All right. Let me quickly share my screen because it's time for the next topic, the improved HTTP metrics management with path filtering. So I'm welcoming my colleague Nelson. Hey, Nelson, I'll stop sharing and
hello everyone. So let me share my screen and see if I don't mess up. All right, you should be seeing my screen right now. Can you give me feedback on that, Mark? Yeah,
it's added.
It's sharing. Perfect. So, hi everyone, I'm Nelson. I'm software engineer at Tigrid, and I'm here to talk about optimizing your Dapr HTTP metrics with a new API called path matching that will be released together with Dapr 1.14. So, in this session, we'll cover what high cardinality is, the limitations of using regexes, and how path matching can improve your metrics management. We'll start with an overview of what high cardinality is. Let's see what's the challenge that it poses, how it can impact your system's performance and security. And then we'll see what's the current approach in Dapr to fix this and to use regex for metrics filter. We'll see the complexities and drawbacks of regex, and then we'll dive into this new API and we'll see its benefits and how it can simplify your metrics configuration. So in the end, you should have a clear understanding of how path matching works and why you should use it to enhance your observability. We'll also have a live demo showing path matching in action with one of Tigrid products, Conduct. So let's get started. So we can start by defining high cardinality. So cardinality refers to a number of unique values in a collection. But here we are talking about metrics. And high cardinality metrics means that you have many unique values for a given label. This can bring problems to your systems because it leads to increased resource consumption, higher operational costs, and performance issues. Moreover, high cardinality can expose vulnerabilities to attacks like distributed denial of service if it's unconstrained. So it makes high cardinality being a time bomb. High cardinality also makes your metrics harder to analyze because there are so many unique values that it can overwhelm you and your monitoring systems and hide important trends. This will result in slower query performance and longer troubleshooting time, which makes harder you to keep your system running smoothly. Additionally, high cardinality also strains your storage because if you have more metrics, it requires more space, thus requiring more costs. In short, high cardinality make your monitoring tools less effective and turns a simple task of monitoring into a resource-heavy and complicated process. Fixing this issue is crucial if you want to keep your systems efficient and secure. To address these issues, Dapr introduced the path matching API for HTTP metrics. This API allows you to specify the paths that are most important for you, and benefits include better memory management, enhanced security, and improved performance. Given that path matching happens in a hot path, that is the request handler, the implementation leverages the gold standard library router that ensures efficient and scalable path matching. This means that path matching not only simplifies our metrics configuration, but also maintains high performance under heavy loads. It is a robust solution for high throughput environments. In the link below, you can find a detailed description of the proposal. It includes technical specifics and configuration examples that can help you understand this API and bring its full potential to your application. For those of you familiar with Dapr API, we already have the rules under metrics. So rules API basically is or allows you to define regex patterns to reduce cardinality. The problem with this is that regex are harder to maintain and can be CPU intensive. So in this case, you need to define a single regex for each one of your metrics. Path matching simplifies this by letting you define your paths that matter just once, and it applies to all the metrics. And for the best results, we recommend that you use path matching API together with the increased cardinality flag set to false. If we look at this image, we can see on the left side that we have 3 different rules configurations for different metrics, but they are basically all the same. So what we are doing here is basically converting the orders endpoints and removing the cardinality of the IDs and replacing the IDs by order ID. On the right side, we see pretty much the same thing, but with path matching. So we just define once and it applies to all the metrics. In the left side, we are just seeing 3 metrics, but there are many other that won't be applied unless you clearly specify them in your configuration. So for our demo, I've set up a simple scenario with 2 Dapperized applications. So we have this user service that's calling the order service via service invocation on 3 different endpoints, on orders, baskets, and payments. And each call will generate a new ID, which results in high cardinality metrics. To demonstrate the impact of high cardinality, we'll first look at a cluster that has high cardinality and no path matching, and we'll look at resource consumption and performance issues. Then we'll switch to another one where we have path matching and basically compare the 2 of them and see the benefits of using path matching. All right, let me now switch. Perfect. Okay, you can see my other tab. Yes, you can. As I was saying, we have two clusters here. This is Conductor. So Conductor can be used to manage Dapr and do a lot of things. So we can enter the cluster and we have an overview of my cluster. We can see the control planes, the uptimes, the version that the agent is running. And let's start by looking at the configuration. So this is the configuration I used for the high cardinality cluster. We can see who uses this configuration. In this case, we just have 2 simple apps, user and order. And we can look at it. So this is a simple Dapr configuration. We are seeing here that on the metrics, we have increased cardinality set to true, as I said in the beginning. Now let's look at our applications. So the order service, it's around 140 megabytes, and the user service at around 260 megabytes. They both are running the latest RC. And let's look at our order service. We can see the CPU usage, the memory, and here let's look at the latency. You can see that this is taking a bit of time to load. And this is one of the consequences of high cardinality, because we have so many metrics that it overwhelms the system. It will be expected. If we open here, we can see our paths. And we remember in the beginning, I said baskets, and there is like so much thing here. So we can see baskets, we can see orders, and each individual ID. And finally, the payments. And although this is data, is this really relevant data for our observability needs? Because in the end of the day, I don't really care about the payment with the ID 95 or the latency for this payment. What I want is an aggregated view of the latency on all my payments calls. And this is what we get with path matching. So if we go back and look at the path matching cluster, this is basically the same binary. It's the same Go code running. The only difference is the configuration. So again, we have our configuration, the services it uses. And if you look here, you can see that I define path matching and I define the orders and the payments. There is one missing, that's the baskets endpoint. And we can imagine like I'm a business guy and okay, baskets don't have any business value. I don't really care about them. So if I don't care about them, I just don't need to define them and I just move along. I don't waste resources, I don't waste time, I don't waste computing power getting that data or storing that data. And in this case, this is what I did. So we have 3 endpoints, orders, baskets, and payments. But with this path matching configuration, I just care about orders and payments. So the baskets will be just ignored. Going again to our applications, we can see I don't recall the other values, but they are pretty much like half of the values. So the order service is sitting around 77 megabytes and the user service 150. So I think this is half. So here we are already gaining and spending less money. So let's go to the order service again and see the same thing. It loaded a lot quicker. And what we can see here is what I was mentioning is like the aggregated view. What I care about the payments is, okay, what's the latency on my payments endpoint? I don't really care about the ID 1, 2, 3, 4, or wherever. What I care about is how is my application behaving? How is this endpoint behaving? Is this responding in the right time? Is this having errors? And this is super beneficial to your applications. Going back. So, in conclusion, path matching is a powerful tool for reducing high cardinality in your Dapr HTTP metrics. It's easy to use and offers benefits like better memory management, improved security, and enhanced performance. By simplifying your configuration process, path matching not only makes your metrics management more efficient, but it also reduces the likelihood of errors and maintenance overhead. This streamlined approach can improve your system's reliability and scalability. Thank you for listening, and I hope that you start leveraging path matching in your projects. Feel free to ask any questions.
Thank you very much, Nelson. That was a really clear story. There are no questions at the moment. People can, of course, still also go to Dapr Discord later if they still have questions.
Yeah, reach out.
Exactly, yeah. And so this is a release 1.14 feature, right? So maybe you're using one of the release candidates already, so you're going to use it, but the final 1.14 release is not yet there. It will land somewhere this week. That's all I can tell right now, I think. So, but yeah, it will be available.
Very exciting.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Thank you very much, Nelson.
Anytime. Thank you for listening, y'all.
All right, I'll give a quick update about Dapr Day. So earlier this year, we had a Dapr Day, a virtual event all about Dapr. But this year in October, Dapr will be 5 years old, and we're celebrating that with another Dapr Day and a bit more special Dapr Day. So we actually can tell you that one of the keynote speakers will be Mark Rusinovic. He's been a long-time Dapr fan and a Dapr advocate. So it will be great to have him join this event. And the CFP is still open for a couple of days. So there is still some time if you want to submit a session for Dapr Day on October 16th. CFP closes on August 12th. All right. Now let's move on to the community show and tell. So regarding the blog post, there is another blog post from Vladimir Vivienne, building cloud native services with Dapr, Go, and Kubernetes Part 4. So thanks, Vivienne, for this wonderful series. Definitely recommend everyone to go through this. Then Miroslav Janeski posted light and fast cloud native microservices with Azure Functions in Dapr. It's also a very nice combination. Then Manuel Zav posted integrating Dapr with Cilium, a sidecar-less service mesh approach combined with powerful distributed application runtime. It's a very interesting post. Definitely recommend that as well. My colleague Bilgin wrote a post about the different ways you can now do Dapr PubSub subscriptions, because in 1.14 streaming subscriptions have been added. So you can have now 3 different ways to actually subscribe to PubSub messaging. And the final post is from Simon Bisson. It's more like a high-level introductory post to Dapr, but it does already highlight some of the new 1.14 features. So definitely a good read as well. Regarding YouTube, Will Valida, also a longtime Dapr advocate, is now starting a YouTube series on Dapr. So the first one is now posted, Introduction to Dapr. So if you're relatively new to Dapr, give that a go. And recently, Digrid was already celebrating the 1.14 release, which will happen very soon. But you can see and hear all about these features if you watch this video. And as usual, I'll add all of the links in the video description. Regarding Twitter and LinkedIn, there were some posts by the CNCF themselves helping to promote Dapr Day, both the event, but also that there is still time to submit your session there, which is great. They also highlighted one of the great case studies that's there on the CNCF website. In this case, about how Grafana is using Kubernetes and Dapr for its vulnerability scanning. And one of the other announcements is that I'll be joining the GitHub Open Source Friday live stream this Friday to talk about Dapr. So if you're writing blog posts about Dapr, if you're recording videos about Dapr, or if you're giving presentations about Dapr, then you can get one of these Dapr badges, either the writer badge or the presenter badge, or you can have them both if you both write and present about Dapr. If you want these badges, you have to provide a pull request and update a table in the community repository on GitHub in the Dapr org. So you can include your blog post link, or you include a video for your presentation. And when the PR is merged, you will get one of these Dapr badges. And finally, you all deserve a Dapr supporter badge since you are watching this video. So feel free to scan this QR code and go to this link to claim the Dapr supporter badge. All right, and with that, it's the end of this community call. I don't see any further questions, so please submit to the Dapr Day CFP, and I would like to see you at the next community call. Bye, everyone.